Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, welcome in. Los Vatos Chicanos, our very first podcast, man. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to sit there and talk about all sorts of different topics. Mendoza, let them have it, baby.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So, we got the lineup for today's chat. We're going to be going over a few topics. First and foremost, we're going to be going over, for us, what does it mean to be a Chicano, right? Growing up as a Chicano, what our parents were like, what life was like with our parents, siblings. Sometimes some people, some of us Mexicans, bro, we'd be like, us Chicanos, we'd be like fucking conejos. We'd be like rabbits, bro, pumping them out. You know how many kids I have? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that resonates a lot with the Chicano Mexican culture. And then the next topic is gonna be brown pride or nah. What does that mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to people in the audience? Right? Brown pride. We hear about pride. People wanna talk about what it means to be proud of where you come from, your roots. And then last but not least, relationships and longevity. Right? We know it's important to be able to preserve our roots, preserve our the foundation in which we come from, and procreate and pass that on to our kids. And we'll talk about more a little bit about that. But first and foremost, man, we're gonna get straight into it. Mexi, what does it mean to you to be a Chicano, right? To be Mexican American. I know you don't just like to get into gang fights. I know you like movies and flowers and white girls named Debbie too, you know? So what is it, man? What is it for you?
Mine is a straight up heritage, man. To sit there in the history behind it, all the way back to the freaking Aztecs, you know what I'm saying? And just where my father comes from, all about, farmland and hard work. And I mean,
Serio.
it's hard, being able to do both. It's hard being able to try and be Mexican and American at the same time. Especially
Okay.
when growing up, you know what I mean? People don't look at you as Mexican American, they look at you as Mexican. I might not look Mexican right now, but I'm Mexican. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. A lot of the times, and I think that's something that's very prevalent here in the United States right now. Especially with everything that's happening, a lot of immigrants coming in from the southern border. But it's always been happening. It's nothing new. We might have a bigger numbers coming in, but we've always had it, right? Chicanos
It's
have always
always
been
going to be there.
fighting for. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there, man. No matter what you do, it's always going to be there. And it's all about how you live with it. You know what I mean?
Facts, and I believe that this could be very common for any race that's not maybe not white, or like when you think of someone that says, oh, they're American, right? Like my wife, she's white, but when I present her, oh, she's American. Like because it says Americana, it's what I say. It's Americana. So it really comes down to like you said, how you live with it. And tell me, how is it that you were able to live with it? How old are you right now, Maxi?
I am 43 years old.
43 years young,
43 years old, bro.
And in your upbringing, man, in your teenage years, which I think are for most of us is like the really most predominant part of any person's life, their teenage years. What was that like for you? What was that like for a Chicano individual? Do you feel like you were just saying earlier, so we could elaborate on that? That as a Chicano, it was hard to be both. You can't. You're either. It's almost like you had to choose whether you're Mexican or whether you're American. And I think that's where the word Chicano really came in, because it was that pride of being able to be both.
In my household, I was raised both. Me and my pops would sit there and he would talk to me in English and Spanish both ways. I had a stepmom that was neither one. Chicano, I mean, she wasn't American, she wasn't Mexican, she was straight up Chinese. So
Totally.
right. So I had to learn how to do 3 different things. But I refused to sit there and do the whole Chinese part. It ain't not that I had anything against it, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm Chicano by heart. So when my dad would sit there and he'd speak Spanish to me, and then he would speak English to me at the same time, I enjoyed the crap out of it. Just like you talk to me, you know what I'm saying? You talk English and Spanish both. I enjoy
Right.
that. You know what I mean? But living in two different cultures in one household, oh, it's I love it, dude. It's amazing. And
That's
I mean,
awesome. That's awesome.
the people that don't know, you have no idea what you're missing. You know what I mean? And but
I guess I could say I don't. I was missing that because growing up, my familia only spoke Spanish.
really,
When I went to school is when I did all my English.
ah,
And it was actually really hard for me because when I would go to school, I would start learning. I would be talking so much English that when I came home, I found it difficult to express myself in Spanish. Like I'd be sad or I'd be mad or I'd be this and I'd be that, but it'd be hard for me to tell my mom exactly how I felt because I always wanted to revert to express myself in English, right? Like express why I was sad or mad or this or that, but not find the words, the vocabulary in Espanol. So I struggle with that in my early years, and my mom didn't allow us to speak English in the casa.
I wasn't allowed.
At
I
home.
wasn't allowed to either.
Oh, you spoke Spanish
I was
only
not
at
allowed
home?
to. Not until I turned about 4 years old is the first time that I was allowed to speak English.
Órale, órale,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Eh,
that's what my dad finally got. He got with my ex stepmother, and she spoke nothing but English. She didn't know nothing about Spanish, So I mean, I was
right?
kind of forced to do it. But my whole
That
life,
makes
my
sense.
dad just wanted me. He wanted me to speak English. Spanish the whole time. You know what I mean?
Got it. Got it. Do you think that was if he would have kept you in that mind state where you only spoke Spanish, you think he would have been doing you a disservice?
No, no. I mean, because of where we lived.
Elaborate.
Because of where we lived.
Okay.
Where we
Okay.
lived. Where
So
we
where you
lived.
lived, there was primarily Hispanic
It was
people?
primarily Hispanic people where I lived. You know what I mean? You
Got
have
it.
black and brown everywhere, you know what I'm saying? But it was primarily Hispanic people out there. So, I mean, it wouldn't have affected me whatsoever. But in order
Got you.
for us to be able to go to schools outside of where I actually lived, I had to learn how to speak English, and he wanted to make sure that I learned that by the time I hit kindergarten. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
So,
For sure.
I mean, it worked out for the best, except for now, I've been where I'm
It
at for a
normally
little over
does.
20 years. I don't know a lick of Spanish anymore.
You see,
Man?
ahí está, man. Ahí está. So it's like
So,
doing the one language only. In my opinion, it does a disservice.
right.
Because we have so many Chicanos that grew up in a Hispanic household, but when they grow up and get older, they forget their roots. They forget their Spanish, right? Many times they forsake their culture. And I mean
It's
that's
hard
fine and
to.
all to each their own.
It's
It is
hard
hard.
to keep it, when you don't have nobody to speak Spanish to down here. What I'm saying? I was lucky to be
Fact.
able to find people, on this platform that actually spoke Spanish, but and I've tried to interact with people like you or like our former colleagues back 2 years ago when we first met. It was really hard for me not to be able to react the way you guys react. But when you guys do it, I understand every word. It doesn't bother me. It actually puts joy. It puts a smile on my face because I'm just like, dude, I'm here again. You know what I mean? This is
It
something
feels
I've
like
missed
home,
in
huh?
20 years. This is something I've missed in 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So I was like,
Right.
yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. It's nice to be able to go back to my roots again. And I mean,
And I agree.
it's a pleasure being able to do this with you, homie. I mean, you're bringing me back to my roots, and I'm
Likewise.
enjoying the shit out of it.
Bro, that's why I suggested it. Like I just said, my wife, she's Americana. You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying? Like my kids, I'm trying to get them to learn Spanish. My mom, their abuela comes by, and they be like, "Oh, abuelita, abuelita," and she goes, "Mijo, cómo estás?" And they go, "What?" Like that. Then I want to be able to show my mom that I care about my culture, I care about my roots, that I want to instill that in my children.
Right.
Like, yes, are they primarily English speaking? Of course. Their mom is Americana, she's English speaking. Is my wife learning Spanish? Sure, like all the bad words first, like everybody else. But at the end of the day, when it comes to like being able to express yourself, and like you said, that like it brings you back to like a nostalgic feeling. I haven't been able to speak Spanish very often, so being
hmm
able to do this with you, like, well, I likewise, it brings up a lot of emotion in me, a lot of emotion. And for me, growing up in a primarily Spanish speaking household, I feel like I feel like going to school was affecting my home life, because like I said, school was doing a much better job at teaching me the language than my own house. Sure, we spoke it, but nobody sat down and teach me the grammar. Nobody sat down to teach me like, oh, this word means this, or let's learn how to spell in Spanish. There was no push on that aspect, where I feel that my familia, my mom or my dad or somebody that was an adult that spoke Spanish could have done me a better service when it came to learning the Spanish language. I like we all, like, for those that love Cheech and Chong, right? And literally in the Mexican American song, it says Mexican Americans love education. They go to night school and take Spanish and get a B, right? In my case, I got a fucking D. You know what I'm saying? As as a Chicano going to school taking Spanish, like, I would do good in the tests. I didn't do good in the homeworks, and I think that's a personal thing. I just, very distracted at home. I hardly did my homework for any fucking class, if we can keep it real. But when it came to like,
I failed Spanish class. I failed.
Why is that?
I failed.
Why do we be like that? And it is a very common thing. It's a very common thing.
I took Spanish because I thought it was going to be my easiest class. I'm just like, I speak Spanish at home. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to rock this shit. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, with the Spanish today, they speak at home, and the Spanish they teach you in schools, they teach you Spanish from Spain.
Spain, yeah.
And we know Spanish from Mexico.
Español de España.
Right.
Okay, con un list. Ocupa tener un list para hablar de España, ¿ok?
That's what
Vosotros
I'm saying.
Vemos acá y bien chingones, pendejo.
That's what we learned. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to learn Spanish. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go into Spanish class. I'm going to rock it, and I'm going to be, the top one. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. My Spanish teacher was so hot. So freaking hot.
You were distracted, huh, bro?
I couldn't.
You were distracted.
I couldn't.
You were distracted.
I was distracted. I mean, it was like bang for me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she expected more out of me too. It's kind of like when you go to work, and you sit there and you work your ass off. That's what they expect every single day from you. When I walked into that class and she knew that I was Hispanic, that I was Mexican, she knew that I should pass this class no problem. So she sat there and she expected that from me every single day. So when I actually didn't do it, she was very disappointed. But I was the one student in that whole place that she never spoke a lick of English to, ever. And it did not matter where I was. It didn't matter if I was in class. It didn't matter if I was in cafeteria. It didn't matter if I was outside. She spoke Spanish to me the whole time. She passed me in the first semester. She passed me with a D-. I said, I want you to come back, and I want you to ace my class because I know you can do it. And I never went to class again.
Thanks for the pass.
Yeah, never went to class again, bro. And I was like, no, I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that we have our strong suits and we have our weak suits, right? Do you feel that Spanish was the only class that you struggled with, or did you struggle in school in general?
I struggled in every single class that there was, except for mathematics. Math, I was a wizard at. And
because numbers don't have a language other than
my parents couldn't
plus,
figure it
minus.
Out. Yeah, my parents couldn't figure it out. They didn't know what the hell was going on because, like I said, Spanish was. I mean, I was top notch, 100% in Spanish, or in math. You know what I mean? And so they didn't know why. I said, I don't know. I enjoy it. What do you want me to say?
I gotta move my camera. I think I'm cutting myself off here.
All right, I'm getting ready to sit there and move you for you.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy for me because I always did much better in English than I did in any other class.
Really?
I did. I did.
I failed English. Too many adverbs.
I think. And you know what I found, because for me, like, I was a person that that always wanted to express himself. Like I always had a hard time expressing myself in Spanish. So I said, well, if I can't express myself in Spanish, I might as well be good at expressing myself in English.
Right.
So that's why I did really good in it. I did really good in math all the way up until like my sophomore year, and then from then I just kept tanking. Like I was like C average student. Um, but in general, I think that my house was very distracting for some reason growing up. That it was difficult for me to do homework. You know, I think about it now. Like my kids are homeschooled, verdad? And my kids, they get 100% support from me and from mom. You know, to be able to do their homework. You don't understand something, we got you. But in order to like to understand the assignment when you don't understand it in school, and you need someone that has that experience to be able to walk you through it. My parents didn't have that. I mean, for example, my mom, she was like in middle school, she dropped out. And I think that's very common amongst like the Chicano people, because like in my case, I'm a first generation Mexican American, right?
Right.
My mom was literally crossing the southern border with me in her stomach, crossing that fucking desert, bro. And with me in her stomach, bro, like dehydrating herself, not eating, like exhaustion, fatigue, like that's the same thing. But like I might not even be here. It's like I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be here in America.
Right.
Much less alive. And for me, my mom, like she gave up a lot. She went through a lot to be able to get me here so that I could be who I am in a place where the opportunity isn't like, the mafia, isn't fucking drugs, isn't like impoverished lifestyle. Like that's what she explained to me, that was all that was waiting for me if she had stayed in Mexico, right? I would have known nothing but the streets, right? Because the streets is where everything happens, is where you make your money, right? All of it. Like here, it's about school, and school to work, and work to success, right? At least that's how she was putting it in my head. So she says, you either do streets, drugs, and possibly death or was she wrong? No. Was she right? No. It's kind of down the middle, because it's like I don't feel like I was set up for success, because where she lacked that I needed at home, she was not able to provide for me. I had to rely on the school for everything, which is why I feel that English became my primary language. I became very Americanized, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I lost sense of my culture, because my family didn't really have that, like, besides the music they played, there was nothing else in our culture that, or in our household, that was promoting our culture. So we had a very much a disconnect, because my mom and stepdad, they were so focused on being able to work and provide, and they assumed that the school would take care of the rest, that the school would provide the education for me to be successful and do what I needed to do. But she failed me in the sense of, like, I didn't get that culture. It's cool that your pops was able to talk to you in Spanish and in English. My jefita, my mom, she didn't do that. She only spoke Spanish to me. And because I started speaking less and less Spanish, we started speaking less and less, period.
Right.
We lived in the same house, but the only thing we communicate is like tortillas, queso, frijoles, like the food, right? Like the basic things, the day-to-days, other than conversations like how are you, how was school, this and that. Those conversations rarely happen. Like I think I was learning more from Mexican soap operas than I was from my own mother. And I think that's personally, I feel like I was failed in that aspect.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice in my household. If my dad came up here when he was 16 years old. He didn't have a choice. And the story behind my father is he was out. Him and my two aunts were out. I don't know if they were hunting or what the hell they were doing, but either way, they were out there shooting birds. And I guess something happened when my dad accidentally shot my sister. And if you know grandparents and everything else, grandparents They are very, very, very protective over their children, just like we are. And that's one thing that we pride ourselves on. All right. My grandma made my dad come up here. I mean, he made him come up because he said, your dad is going to come home and he's going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Because his daughter, pride and joy. And so she
Right.
handed him a bunch of money, said, go to America, make a life for yourself.
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. I was the first one out of my family, out of my whole family, born in America. My pops was in his early 20s, my mom, she was in her late teens. First one born in America, and the first thing he wanted to do is he wanted to make sure he pounded that Mexican in me. And I wish to God that I would have done the same thing with my son. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't. But my son's got like that much Mexican in him. You know what I mean? He's got like that much. You know what I mean? So,
Bro, just water it, vato. Just water it.
it's it's there, but it's not there. If you know what I mean. But yeah, so I mean, I
It's
didn't
hard
have a
for them to
choice. So I
express.
mean, if that situation would never happen with my pops, there ain't no saying what my life would have been like. I'd have been full blown
For
Mexican.
real.
You know what I mean?
Shit. Yeah, I mean,
Different
what
moms.
do you think that would have looked like? If your dad would have instilled more of the culture in you, what is it that you would have been able to pass on to your son?
Being Mexicano. Straight up Mexican, bro. Trying to sit there and teach them about our heritage, trying to teach them about our past, trying to teach them what it's like to actually be Mexican and actually, live a poor life. Because, down there, they're poor as hell, bro. You know what I'm saying? Especially with my family, lives just how to work for a living, how to get up 4 o'clock in the morning, how to sit there and do nothing but provide, provide, provide. And we didn't have none of it. My family don't have none of this shit that we have. They ain't got no computers. They ain't got no fucking phones. They ain't got none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? They live on a road that's not paved. They live on roads that are mixed up big boulders. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
there we go. There we go. Sorry, bro. You were cutting off for a second.
Oh, you're good. They they
Um,
they they ride on horses everywhere they go. You know what I'm saying? They travel 5 miles down the road on a horseback just to take care of their cattle. Just the instillment, the workhorseness of being able to, you know, provide countless hours of your life for your family and then party at night. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean that's what they do. You know,
that's
I
true.
mean, I
That's
really,
true.
I tried to instill that into my son now, and my son's doing great. I mean, he's got a full-time job, got himself a little boy, and he's doing great. You know what I'm saying? I just wish I could have knocked that Mexican into him like my dad did. But
Right.
at the same time, I live down here where I live now, and it's a lot harder to be able to knock that into him. And when you got non-Mexicans around you. You know what I mean? I mean, without offending anybody, non-Mexicans around. Where I can't I can't teach them everything I want to teach them when I'm myself working 12, 15, 16 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I feel that my parents didn't do that for me. I mean, we'll put it like this: my stepdad worked at a steel company, and when he would get home, he would relax and work and like focus on himself, right? And then when it came to evening time, right, like after we've eaten dinner, all that shit, we'd go to bed. But my mom and my stepdad would go to work at a graveyard job, and then they wouldn't get back until after we had already left for school in the morning. So by the time we got back, my stepdad had already gone to his afternoon job, and my mom was sleeping, right? Or
Right,
she'd go pick us up, come home, make us some lunch, and then go back to sleep.
right,
You know,
right.
so she wasn't able to get that sit down one on one time. Growing up with me, and it feels that. Do you feel that even though your dad was needing to work as much as he did, he was still able to instill that? Did you feel like your dad worked as much as you do, or what kind of what kind of lessons did your dad teach you about being, about our culture, right? What are some things that are predominant to you that you might say you didn't instill in your son, right?
My
Besides
dad,
just
my
like
dad didn't have time to teach me about my culture.
okay,
My dad did not
okay,
have time. You know what I'm saying? I've learned what I've learned about our culture is over time. over the 40 years I've been alive. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
I can know more. I can say more if I really had the knowledge in my head to do that, but I didn't have time to learn more about it because I was working for I became a father at a young age. So I had to focus on my family, so I didn't have time to learn more about our heritage. I didn't have time to more about our history. You know, that's why I couldn't really answer your question too well at the beginning. You know what I mean? I answered the best I could because my father didn't have time either. My dad worked 12, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, his whole life. You
Yeah.
know, on his
And I
one,
guess that is something that he taught you. You know, he taught you by your actions, not necessarily like a sit down powwow.
right,
Hey, mijo, look, like let me open up a book and show you who
right,
Emiliano Zapata
right,
is, who Pancho Villa is. You know what the fuck the Alamo was. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like,
Yeah, I had to learn all that shit, you know, like in school from other people. You know what I mean? Like
right,
my dad taught me that it was a man's job to work for his family no matter what. It was a man's job to miss his family's life to be able to provide for
right,
them. You know, we've lost that in this world. You know what I mean? We got a lot of men or even women out there that believe that you have to be at home 24/7 with your children, and that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's got to be there with your children. Somebody's got to raise your children. But as a man, I've missed so much of my kid's life, just like my dad did. But it was worth every
right.
freaking minute. You know what I mean? And because
Yeah.
my kids were raised the right way. My kids were raised to be able to worry more about their family than themselves. You know,
Okay.
like I mean, as men, that's our job. That's our job to sacrifice our life, our soul, our heart, our blood, our body, and everything. And that, to me, and if this offends anybody, I'm sorry, but that to me is what it's like to be Mexican, because that is exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Every single Mexican that I've ever met, and we got a lot of bullshit going on right now in this world and everything else that we're not going to get into in this podcast. But every Mexican that I've ever met in my life does nothing but sacrifice himself for his family. Everyone that I know. You got your bad apples, obviously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're always going to have your
Yeah.
bad
That's
apple.
that's
That's
that's in
everywhere.
every culture. You
That's
know.
every
Yeah.
culture. You know what I'm
But as a
saying? But
culture, I know for a fact that I agree with you that, you know, like it's a very machismo kind of machismo that was like more, you in English they would call it like very sexist, right? Where like there are very very strict roles, right? The man provides, goes to work, does this and that. Those are his expectations. But just likewise, there are expectations for the women in the culture,
mhm,
right? Yes, be home, like doing the tending to the home, being a homemaker, right? And yes, there are men out there who take advantage of that. It's like, well, I'm the one that provides. I could do what I want. I get to say what I want, treat you how I want, right? And we're gonna get into that at the end of the podcast regarding relationships and
that ain't
longevity.
the way it works, homie.
I agree with you,
That
Vato,
ain't the
straight
way it
up.
works.
You know, so there, do you agree that it can be seen within our culture for this very like toxic masculinity where the man feels entitled that because he is the provider, he is the breadwinner, right? He is the protector and the man, right? He's the protector, but yet, you know, he's protecting us from everyone else except from himself at times it seems like. At least that's kind of the reality that I grew up in. My mom and my stepdad. You see, my mom, she was married to this big wig in Mexico, Nayarit, and he was like he owned a gas station, right? I mean, think about it, man. To own a gas station, no matter what country you live in, bro, that's bank, that's
Mhm,
money,
mhm.
right? You know, so she married into that, but the mother-in-law was not being very nice to my mom, and she didn't feel protected, she didn't feel honored by her husband, so she divorced and she moved to the United States. But before she moved, she went to a concert in which my dad was the drummer of in a legit Mexican banda, you know, Arcángel R15, right? If you've ever heard of them, my dad
Never
was the
heard of it.
original drummer, and that's cool. Ain't a lot of people never have, you know. And so she went to a band, and you know she met my dad. I mean, he's the drummer. Who the fuck doesn't love a drummer? And they had a one night stand, and then like she didn't know she was pregnant when she was coming with me, but she was, you know, and and so when she moved here, she met my stepdad. Um, my stepdad and her, like, they were happy for a while.
A new
Like, I won't even get to the fact that my real dad and my stepdad, they knew each other as kids, and they were like rivals when they were kids. So like, just put yourself in this in these shoes where like you marry a woman that you love, but only to find out that her kid is the son of that motherfucker that you beef with back in your fucking hometown. Like, it was crazy. It was like a fucking soap opera, bro. And like, he treated me like shit. He took it out on me for who my dad was. Like, so my stepdad failed me. My mom put me in that situation. My real dad stopped coming around because my stepdad kept acting like a little bitch, right? Worried about, oh, he's trying to get back with your mom and this and that. I was like, motherfucker, he's here for me, like. But my stepdad, my real dad, failed me because he gave up on me. He didn't fight for me. My mom didn't want to be with my dad anymore. Like, my dad was a drinker. My dad was the type of person that partied because he was successful. Like, he was in a successful band. He was making lots of good money. And I grew up in a house where my stepdad, there was animosity between me and my stepdad because of who my dad was. And my mom ended up getting cancer in her uterus and wasn't able to have kids anymore. And she was able to give him two girls before she lost her uterus due to cancer, a tumor. But he was able to give him a boy, so he never had a boy. And in my opinion, God made it that way because he was a douchebag. We didn't need more douchebags in the world, in my opinion.
Right.
So he didn't have any boys to continue his seed. But he was really mean, like, he sat down in front of me one time and he told my mom while he was eating. She was turned around, warming up some tortillas on the stove, and he's like, when you gonna give me a son? And she turns around and I'm sitting right fucking there in front of him, right? And she says, well, you have one right there. And he's like, no, my own son, right? Knowing good and well that she fucking can. She fucking lost her uterus, like just started shit to start shit. So, he is what I would consider, right, like a very classic type Mexican who expected things of the woman, who put his woman in a certain position. He ended up cheating on my mom with her friend that he met at a bar or at a club or something like that, and they ended up splitting ways. So I ended up, my freshman, sophomore year, I ended up having to become like a provider. We moved to Oregon, back where I was born. My mom, when she first got here to the United States, she moved up to Oregon, and I was born in Klamath Falls. And back in my sophomore year, we moved back in that area, and I had to work the fields, bro. I had to cut lettuce. I had to pick spinach. I had to pick the weeds from the spinach. I had to fucking do the strawberries. You know what I'm saying? Like, at an early age, I learned what it meant to earn your keep. I learned what I had to do in order to pay bills, even though it wasn't my job. My mom says she brought me here to this country for a better life, but all she did was give me the same life that I would have had in Mexico, in a sense, right? Just doing it here in America. A young man, a teenage kid isn't supposed to be doing that. Isn't supposed to be. It's good for him, and I see that now as an adult. It was good for me. It put in good character in me to work that early, But what parent feels good about having to force their teenage kid to work so that they could pay your bills? Right? A parent wants to be able to provide for their kid, give them everything that they supposedly didn't have, be able to let them live their life, and they can become the individual they're going to be so that they can grow up. Not that it was wrong for me to work at an early age, but to receive the choice. Hey, you don't have to work, but if you do, you keep your money, you save your money, you do what you want. Nah, man, all my paycheck went to my jefita. I'm saying? And then she would say, "Here, mijo, here's some money for you. You worked for it. This is your money, but like you're helping me pay bills, this and that. I paid the rent, mowed the lawn. I did everything that a man was supposed to do without having a man in my life. My stepdad was a shit example. Like I wish I had a dad like you, where he would have given me all the proper examples to become a proper man, but he didn't. He when I was young, I remember him telling me, he's like, "Mijo, when you have a girlfriend, make sure you have two of them, because if one leaves you, you still have another one."
Oh hell
You
no.
know, that's the kind of shit my stepdad would
Oh
tell me,
hell
and you could
no.
tell that he was taking his own advice because that's what he did to my mom.
No,
You know,
no, fuck that, bro. No, one woman, one life. You know what I mean?
amen.
No.
And I agree with that. So, like, let's get into the next topic here. When it comes to, before we get into that, I think we talked about brown pride a little bit. So we'll just get into the relationships and longevity, right? I saw what my mom went through, right, with my stepdad. My mom never found a good man that was going to cherish her, that was going to love her, that was going to provide for her, that was going to protect her. She never met a man like that. Every single man she knew and dated fucking used and abused her, right? And it doesn't it doesn't leave a good taste for a young man wanting to grow up to be a man. Like, what was I supposed to do? Follow that example? Follow the example of the one that hurt my mother, or become the man that my mom always deserved? And then that's what I always tell my wife. I want to be the husband to you that I wish my mom had. A man that's going to protect you, love you, respect you, provide for you, right? Give you children that I'm gonna love our children. I love my stepson. My stepson's the one that didn't love me. I ended up having the opposite relationship where my stepdad hated the shit out of me. And now growing up that I had a stepson, my stepson was the one that hated the shit out of me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
Like,
right.
so,
No, no, no,
but it
no,
is
no,
what
no.
it is.
I feel you, because I had the exact same thing happen, bro.
For real.
Oh yeah. See, like, okay, so I had two stepmothers in my life. I'm sorry, three stepmothers in my life. The third one I never met. And but
Damn.
my first one, everything else, my first one would beat the living shit out of me when I was younger. She was trying to knock the Mexican out of me because she did not
Knock the
agree with it.
Mexican out of
Knock the
you? Oh
Mexican
my
out of me.
god.
My dad used to be this hardcore. All right, you remember the movie La Bamba, okay? And
Yes.
you get the big brother and everything else, that's riding around his Harley, leather jacket, slick hair, all puffed up, you know what I'm saying? Looking like, I mean, like a vato, you know what I'm saying?
I straight didn't put
Yeah,
my slick hair
yeah,
tonight. But true.
slick hair in the back, right? That was my father. That was my father when I was a young kid, and we lived
Rico
up in the
Suave.
upper. Yeah, we live in the upper Wisconsin and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And he was, I mean, he was, dude. He was like, he was who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I looked at this man. I'm like, ah, dude, my dad is a cool mother effer. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah. Well, my stepmom tried to knock that out of me. She didn't like that. She met my father that way, but she didn't like that. It's like, well, if this is how you met the man, then this is who the man's gonna be. You like it or you don't like it. Don't be with him if you don't like it, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
okay. So I remember one specific time, her and my dad got into it so much because when he came home, she had punched me so hard in my mouth when I was 3.5 years old that my front tooth was
Damn.
hanging by the corner, just hanging
Fuck.
there, right? And this is about the time where my dad was almost getting ready to call it quits. And this is about the time that he met my next stepmother, right? And she actually
Solid.
pulled that tooth out of my mouth. Sweetest woman in the world at the time. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I've had some bad situations with stepmother, that one. And then the next one and everything else, she was sweet as can be. She was, I mean, nice as gold, all the way around, right? But she was very resentful towards me. It's almost like she felt like I was taking my father's attention away from her. But she would go in there, she would treat me like shit. She wouldn't treat me like a child. She would treat me like a stepchild. Okay,
Ouch.
she would
Like a redheaded
like
stepchild,
a
bruh.
redheaded stepchild. smacked the shit out of me every chance she got, right? And it took her like a year or two. And well, my mom's ended up getting involved, and my moms would come up and she'd pick me up and she'd bring me bowling, and she'd bring me here, and I'd have a great time, So then I'd go home, and I wouldn't have a great time no more. I was always the one that was grounded. I was always the one that got in trouble. My little stepbrother and everything else got everything he wanted. While he was walking around in Nikes, I was walking around in rummage sale shoes.
Damn,
You know what I
bro.
mean? And I grew up like that, but I
Yeah.
couldn't do nothing about it because my pops was at work. My pops would
He
go to
wasn't there
work.
to see the abuse, bro.
Right. And no matter how many times I told him, he didn't believe it until he witnessed it himself. Okay.
Yeah.
So my dad would work. He would go to work at 5:30 in the morning, and he wouldn't be home until 8 o'clock at night. Every day.
Was your stepmom like also Mexican? So the first one was Mexican or no?
No, my first stepmom, she was American. She was white. She was
Okay.
white. I'm gonna say white. I'm not gonna say American. She was white. I don't know what the fuck she was. She was white.
White American, gotcha.
White American. Okay.
Yeah.
My second stepmother was the Chinese one I told you about.
Okay.
Okay, she wasn't raised Chinese. She was adopted by Americans. She was adopted by two Americans when she was just a baby. She was her and her sister, which is technically not her sister, but they were both adopted because they were both found in China. They were both found in the ground. You know what I'm saying? In mud and gunk and dirt, and one was found in a trash can. Well, they were adopted by this couple, and this couple gave them a life, and they gave them a great life. I mean, a great life. No abuse, no nothing. I mean, my ex-step grandparents, they were the greatest grandparents that any man could know. Okay, so I don't know where everything went wrong, but for some ungodly reason, my second stepmother, who just happened to be the same name as my first stepmother,
Oh man, your dad must have had a thing for that name, bro.
Hey, bro, my wife's name starts with a J. I've been with nothing but J's since I was about 16 years old. I've had 4 J's since I was 16 years old. My first J, like I had Jamie, I had Jamie, I had
Mary Jane.
I had Jamie, Jenny, Julie. I shit you not. Those were my last 4 women that I've ever been with. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I've been married to my wife for going on 24 years. But
That's fucking gold.
Hell yeah, bro. So my stepmother, she I don't know if she was resentful towards me or what the story was, but like I didn't get the attention that I deserved. I didn't get the attention that I needed. And then my aunt came to live with us, and I started getting that attention. And then my stepmom started getting even more resentful because all of a sudden I was starting to get the things that my stepbrother was starting to get. And the whole family, like the whole side of her family, completely 100% did not like me. And it didn't matter what kind of kid I was. I wasn't a troublemaker until I turned like 9, 10 years old, and that's when I became rebellious because of all the bullshit that I went through.
For sure.
So like I said, my stepbrother, he would get everything that he wanted: Nike shoes, designer clothing. He'd get video game consoles. His aunt, would go out and buy him sports gear. She was an avid tennis player, and she would go out and try and play tennis with him, buy him tennis rackets, tennis balls, all the gear for it, basketball gear. I got rummage sale shit. If I want anything new, I went to a rummage sale. I went to the Goodwill.
Right.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that stuff. But when you're a kid and you're receiving this stuff while your stepbrother is going to school in gear and you're going to school in torn up clothes, that ain't no life. That ain't no life. You know what I mean? And my dad my dad couldn't do nothing about it. Because by the time he got home, I was already asleep. She was already getting ready to head to bed. He was so damn tired he didn't want to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and then there was times that my dad would come home and my dad had, hey, you remember them big old leather belts? So I don't know if your pops had one of them or your
Hell
stepdad.
Yeah, I
them
do.
Big leather Mexicano belts with the big buckle.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah. It had to have the big buckle.
My stepmom would tell my dad something that I did not do, and my dad would come home and he'd whip my ass.
Fuck.
Vato, he'd whip my ass. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't understand why. I never understood why. I never questioned my father. I never questioned my father. You know, I live like
Did you
that.
ever express these things to your like? Did your father eventually like realize what was happening, or did you have to explain it to him when you got older?
My father didn't listen to me until I was a teenager after they had gotten divorced. You know, my father and her divorced when I was 17, 17, 18 years old or something like that. They finally got divorced and everything else. And when I talked to my father and told him everything that was going on, he said, "I know." I said, "Well, then why did you do anything about it?" He said, "I couldn't. I would have lost everything. She threatened me, and I would have lost everything." My father, who worked for her, and she worked too. Don't get me wrong; they made money. They made good money together, but he would have lost everything. And my dad, being from Mexico, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're not going to give a shit whether you got papers or not. They're going to hold it against you. And that's the first thing that they're going to look at. And that's one of the problems with this world is the first thing they look at is what's here. You know what I'm saying? They don't look at who you are or what you've accomplished throughout your life. They look at what they see. They go visual first. You know what I'm saying? So if all she had to
Did your
do
dad
is
ever
cry
become a
wolf.
citizen?
Oh yeah, my dad's been a citizen since he was probably 20 years old.
Okay.
But I mean,
So
it's
he,
not.
even though
It's
he became a citizen, he still feared
he still had
that
that fear in him.
being from Mexico, that would affect him in a negative way.
Well, the way that we grew up and the city that we grew up in and the town that we grew up in and the way we grew up, if you just walk down the street and, like I said, people will look at the outside and they'd abuse the shit out of you. I don't want to go into too much detail with it, you know what I'm saying? But I mean,
Okay.
it's if you ever walk down an area where it's very, very, very racist and everything else, then it tends to get bad. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
In order for me to go to school, I had to walk through a part of town like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
it was always bad on my part. It was always bad on my father's part, because everybody treated him like shit because he was a Mexican working in a restaurant making cash his whole life. Even though he was a citizen, he couldn't find a job, what I'm saying, that gave him like actual, paycheck and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
So even though he had rights and the right to work, right? The state that you lived in, the businesses purposely wouldn't pay him a W-2. They
They wouldn't
wanted
give
to
him shit.
pay him.
He had to go.
Wow,
He
bro.
had to go to a job just like he was an illegal.
And you'd say that this is what, like, mid 80s,
This was between
80s and 90s.
the late 80s and the mid 90s. Know what
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean?
I was only born 1993, Vato,
Yeah,
and I was born in California, or I was born in Oregon but raised in California.
right,
Like having Mexicans and stuff like it was very common where I lived. Like almost all of us were fucking Mexican in Santana. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, so I didn't really experience that. So that's like shocking to hear. Like I
It
know that shit exists. But
it's
I
bad,
hear it.
but it's bad. And the thing is, it still goes on till this day. And a lot of people don't want to listen to you when you try and tell them about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we got so much other things going on, and people have so many different beliefs in it, and so many people have um, people don't want to believe that this kind of stuff is actually happening because they don't witness it. They don't see it. All they see is what they see on videos. All they see is what they see on TV, TikToks
Right.
and wherever else. That's what they want to believe. They've never actually experienced this. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for somebody like me to talk about it because then they look at me and they say, well, you're white. How do you experience that when you're white? It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm in my 40s. I don't get out in the sun. I don't have that dark skin no more. Get me out in the sun or something like that. Let me dye my hair. I'll show you what a Mexican looks like. I'll put a picture up right now, of a picture that I took when my son was born 20 years ago, and you tell me if I'm Mexican or not. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, I look like you, but darker. Know what I mean? I mean, I
Yeah.
look like, the fuck was that guy's name? Modric. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You get what I'm saying? It's like when you're walking down the road like that, they, like I said, they don't look at what's, they don't know who you are. They just look at what's on the outside. And it ain't just our culture that goes through the same damn bullshit. It's
Right.
every culture that goes through the damn bullshit. But when you're living in a part of town that doesn't give a shit, that's more that cares more about thinking that they're protecting themselves and their homes, and all it takes is one person to say, hey, that person, hey, that person, they're automatically going to go for them, no matter what you do. And I think that's the way my stepmother looked at me the whole time. I'm saying, you're Chinese and you're looking at me like I'm a Mexican. How the fuck did you pull that off? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You treat me like I'm nobody. You treat me like, like I'm dirt underneath your feet just because I'm not your child.
Right.
Your child gets everything. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I was the oldest one. He was, and I I picked on him. I was the oldest one. What happens? I mean, an older sibling always picks on a younger sibling. That's just the way it works, right? But she took it to the extent to where it was like I was beating on him, like I was, like I was harming him, like I was,
Like
destroying
you were
him.
a danger.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I'll tell you one of the main stories that I remember. Opposite in California. See, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so I remember one time my stepbrother, I think I was 9. I was about 9 years old. He was 7 or 8. And I remember he pissed his bed. Okay. He woke up and he woke me up, and, he said, hey, he said, I wet my bed. I don't know what to do. I said, well, let's see what we can do about it, you know. And I went over there and I said, hey, let's take these sheets, and we'll take these sheets off and all, and then we'll go ahead and throw them down the chute. And I'll go downstairs and, I'll throw them in a washer real quick. I'm 9 years old. Okay, we lived on the second story and we had a laundry chute on the second story that went straight down to the basement. And I helped him.
Was this a house or an apartment complex?
This was a house. I don't have none of my
Okay.
sound alerts activated right now, Rant. None of that stuff is activated, but I'm not going to have them activated during the podcast. Um, I lived in this 2-story house, and the people that owned the house rented out the bottom and rented out the top. So I mean, it's almost like 2 houses put to one. Then we had an attic
Was
and a
that
basement.
duplex? That's a duplex for sure.
Okay, there you go. Okay. So I threw it down the chute and everything else, and then we started putting up the new sheets on the bed. And my stepmom comes out of the room and she says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, we're putting a new sheet on the bed." She said, "Why?" And I just kind of looked at her, and he kind of looked at her and said, "You don't need to be putting no new sheets on the bed. Those are fresh sheets. We just put them on there yesterday." And I said, "Well," I said, he got a little embarrassed because he wet his bed. I was being honest. I'm an honest person. And she said, "Are you sure about that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure because he woke me up." And she looked at him and asked him about it. He didn't open his mouth.
Oh fuck.
He did not open his mouth. And then he looked at her, she looked at him again and said, "Hey, did you wet the bed or did you not wet the bed?" And he shook his head.
And I mean, wasn't he wearing the same clothes? Did he change already? Like,
He already
you got rid of
changed.
all the evidence.
He already
He got rid
changed.
of all the evidence.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So here's the thing. Here's the weird part about it. I said I threw the sheet down to shoot. If you don't believe me. So she said, "Well, if I go down there and I see a sheet that's not wet on, you're in trouble." So she went downstairs, had made me go all the way downstairs with her. We looked at the sheet, not a wet spot on the sheet. Vato, when I sat there, took the sheet off the bed, it was wet. Okay. Um, so she sat there and said, "Okay, now you're gonna get it." and she carried my ass up by my ear. My dad had a really bad habit. He would grab my ears and pull my ears. I don't know if they ever pulled your ears when you were younger, but my parents would
Oh
pull
yeah.
my ears. Okay, so she grabbed my ear and she pulled me all the way upstairs, 2 flights of stairs on my ear. Grabbed a plastic bat and beat the fuck out of me in the middle of the hallway,
Oh,
right there in front of my step brother. Made me pull my pants down and beat my naked ass with a yellow plastic bat because she said I was lying. When my dad found out about that, they got into it pretty fucking hard. That was the first time I ever seen my father smack a woman. He never did it again, and he never did it before that. But this first time I ever seen him smack a woman. He regretted it, but he said, "If you ever touch my son like that again, I will kill you." Because it wasn't right. Turned out later on, he went downstairs to go take a look at the sheet, and there's the sheet with a wet spot on it. She grabbed the wrong fucking sheet.
ah,
So I got my ass beat, black and blue, because of a little situation like that. And it wasn't the first time that happened. It wasn't the last. You know
right.
what I mean? That's how I got treated. I got treated like a stepchild. So as I grew up, when I met my wife, she already had 2 children. And one was 4 years old, one was 8 months old. I vowed to never do that again. I vowed to never, ever, ever treat my stepchildren that way. And till this day, I still don't do it. And my daughter and my son are my stepchildren. You know what I'm saying? And I have 4 grandchildren from my daughter, my stepdaughter, my daughter, the woman that I raised. You know what I mean? And I love them
Right.
as
Right.
much. I vowed to never treat them differently. Even though I got my one son, my only child that I have, I'll never treat him that way, bro. I mean, the stories I can tell you, homie,
Yeah. No, for
it's
real, bro.
it's it didn't quit. It didn't quit until I mean, even
And you said
after
your dad had 2 or 3 wives. Did you have a third stepmom after that?
I had a third stepmom that I never met. She died a few years back, and I never met her.
Okay.
And I have a little brother that's actually 20, about the same age as my son, and I have a little brother, but I never met her. I guess it was an old fling that he had way back in the day when he was back in Mexico, and I guess they found each other, and I don't know if they were.
Oh, she was Mexican from Mexico.
She
All
was
right.
Mexican
Well, I
from
mean,
Mexico. I guess I don't know if they were high school sweethearts or what, but they
right.
were whatever they were is what they were back when he lived in Mexico. And obviously he came up here when he was 16, so it had to be younger than that. And I guess they got a hold of each other. I mean, hey,
Facebook, am I right?
I'm telling you, bro. I mean, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the stories I could tell you about the whole situation it haunts a lot of people. And when I tell my wife and I tell my kids stories about some of this shit, I'm glad that I went through it. I'm telling you right now, I would do it all over again. I would take the beatings and everything else to do it all over again because it made me who I am today. It made me the man that I am today. It made me the person I am. It made me the husband I am, the father I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
no, I'm glad that my dad never really hit me.
mhm,
My dad would always instigate it to where he would have my mom hit me. Like,
mhm,
"Oh, your son did this," and it was always, "Your son did this, your
mhm.
son did
Yep,
that," you
yep,
know?
yep.
So there was always that, like, that it was that obvious verbal animosity, that cold shoulder, right? But to follow up on that, um, so you basically answered the question. You vowed to never be that type of man to your stepchildren,
Never,
right? Uh,
never.
how do you feel that it's affected the way that you are with your wife?
As far
I
as
Yeah, I mean, like, just seeing that kind of relationship, right? From being a child and seeing the way your stepdad, your dad, and your stepmoms were, right? Did that affect the man that you are as well when it comes to being a husband?
I think it did because I think um because of the trials that I had to go through with all the abuse and the bullshit. And it wasn't just my stepmother, just everything that I had to go through as when I was younger. It taught me to um, be able to take everything that comes my way. Whether it comes from an outside source, whether it comes from an inside source. Being able to make me
Right.
stronger, than who I am. Being able to take whatever bullshit comes my way. Like I mean, it's It's the same situation that I was explaining before. Like if you're walking down the road and they sit there and say, "Hey, that guy, that Mexican over there," whatever the case may be. I had the same thing happen in my family, in my wife's family when I first got with them. You know what I'm saying? They automatically assumed Mexican bad guy. Mexican not worth it.
Got you.
You know what I mean? But they changed their mind pretty damn quick after they realized that I'm not that guy that you guys are talking about. I'm not that bad apple that you guys had the experience with. You know what I'm saying? So I think it made me a lot stronger. I think it made my wife a lot stronger because my wife is a very, um, very strong person, has dealt with a lot of bullshit from a lot of people coming her way, and has dealt with a lot of my bullshit um, because of the shit that I went through. I did have a very, very bad temper. And the Mexi that you see in front of you was not the Mexi that you would have known 20 years ago, because the Mexi you would have known 20 years ago, you wouldn't be talking to me right now, homie. You know what I mean? Because I mean,
Okay.
I was a prick. I was an asshole, and that was because of everything that I had to go through. But if it wasn't for my wife and my kids, there ain't no saying where I would be and how I would have changed. You know, my wife is my rock. You know what I'm saying? She is the one that has kept me I don't even know how to put that. So she's the one that that's kept me sane through everything. She's the one that listens to my stories and doesn't judge me for who I am or what I've been through or the shit that's been done to me or the shit that I've done. You know what I'm saying? It was really nice to be able to find somebody like that, and then my kids, they saved my fucking life. Especially my son. My stepson, my son, is the only person out of all four of them that if I get into one of them rages is the only one that can calm me down. Because he's not afraid to take me and shove me against a wall and tell me to knock it off. You know what I mean? And my son, he's the one that we didn't expect to do anything with his life, and he's doing better than all of them. My
That's awesome.
daughter's my princess. You know what I'm saying? And all she did was she gave me 3 more princesses and then a prince. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
it's bro, everything that I've went through and everything else made me who I am today. It made me the person that gives more shits about you than I do myself. Gives more shits about
yeah.
my wife and my family than I do myself. Because if sometimes you have to go through them hard trials to realize who you truly are. And the
Facts.
road that I was running down, everything else was not who I was. And the road that I decided, instead of going down my porch and taking a right step, I took a left step. Went down the road of deciding to be married with children. Yeah, giggity. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if it
Right.
wasn't for that road that I took, there ain't no saying where I'd be. I'm a better man because of what happened to me. That's why I said I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I could live as a spoiled brat. I don't think I could live as a person that got everything in my life. I don't think I could live as a person that never got disciplined, because who knows what I'd be? Who knows where I'd be or what I'd be? I mean, I was
You
rebellious as a
know,
teenager, but
that discipline's always good for us, and they say that a parent that disciplines his child, there's a difference between discipline and abuse, right?
Mhm.
Your stepmothers were obviously abusing you. There,
Right,
there was no discipline in what the fuck they were doing. Let's
right,
keep that real,
right.
right?
Nope, agreed.
Um, but but the discipline you get from your father, right? The talkings, right? The scoldings, right? Or even a beating when it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? When you get that chancla, everyone knows what that chancla is, man. You get that chancla, Brand. Your parents picking up that chancla. You know what the hell is coming.
I
You know
got
what
the
I'm
male version of the chancla. I didn't get that little pussified female chancla. Okay, I got the male chancla.
saying? You got the size 12,
I got
extra
the big
wide,
ass,
hard
thick ass,
bottoms.
freaking double strapped fucking chancla, man. Yeah, I got that big ass woman. That son of a bitch, freaking. Oh my god, dude! I'm telling you right now, I had a big old footprint on my ass for a long time because of that. Oh yeah, Them little pussified chocolates that you get for 99 cents nowadays ain't gonna do shit. Those some bitches will break before you even sit there and start to swing.
I'm funny. They'll break in the midst of the swing, right? Oh man. Yeah, man, just to kind of like wrap it up, bro. The the relationships, that we have, obviously, our upbringings affected them. Just to wrap it up, the longevity. What is the key in your opinion? You're going on what? You said 20 years?
24.
24 years, bro. What do you say is the key to a successful relationship with longevity? Is that, do you feel that you fall more and more in love with your wife? Do you feel that, the more the years pass, the more the love ends? What is your experience, and what is it that you feel is necessary just for people out there, man? You never know. There might be people out there who struggle, who've been married once, giving up on love, not sure how to go about it. Like I'm going on 10 years with my wife. I got 9 kids going on 10 years, bro. That my wife's been pregnant every fucking year that I've had her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, it's added more love. Like the children that we have is a byproduct of the love we have for each other. A couple that doesn't love each other the way they do isn't gonna be popping out kids like this. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you have to pop out a bunch of kids like a bunch of fucking little bunnies, to love each other. But every relationship expresses itself in its own unique way, right? What are your thoughts on what are some of the key points that you would like people to walk away with as to what causes a successful long relationship?
Arguments.
Arguments, hey, powerful.
Arguments. Arguments. If you can argue, if you can fight, if you can disagree, if you can debate, and
Facts.
10 minutes later, love each other like nothing happened, you can't stop that. You can't stop that, bro.
Mind blown, bro.
You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
could not have said that better myself,
You can't
bro.
stop that,
Mind
bro.
blown.
If you do not fight in your relationship, if you do not fight in your relationship, how are you gonna know how strong it is? How are you gonna know what kind of trials you can go through? You know what I'm saying? How you gonna if you can sit there and you can fight with your woman and you can fight with her and fight with her and fight with her and she keeps coming back to you, she loves you.
Hell yeah.
If you can
Hell yeah.
continue with
And
fighting,
vice
if you can
versa, right? And vice
right,
versa, of
if
course.
you can deal with with her mindset, and reading between lines because that's what women make you do. Reading between lines, all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? If you can deal with that kind of stuff and you still go back to her because you want to read between them lines, you love her, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? If you can sit there and deal with her getting so damn mad that she throws a fucking pot at you, and you just look at her and say, "Come on, do it again," and she don't do it again, she loves you because she don't want to hurt you. You have to fight, dude. You have to. You cannot go a relationship without fighting, without arguing, with none of that. But you can't do it. You are going to hate each other at one point in your fucking life, but it's what you do after that that matters. If you're gonna
Hey,
sit there and say, "Oh man, he got mad at me. I can't stand him. I hate him. I want to divorce him." Well, you know what? Fucking leave because you guys don't belong together anyways.
right.
And I'm not going to sit there and say me and my wife have never looked at each other and said, we're done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I don't want a divorce. I want a divorce. I'm not going to say we never said that because we have, but we're still together. Me and my wife got married 4 months after we met each other. Okay. We've gone on 24 years, and the first 10 years of our life was fucking hell. Fucking hell. We went through so much bullshit with each other. And it took us into get into a serious situation for us to realize we can't live without each other. You know what I mean? I mean,
And who else? Like, let me piggyback off that real quick, because that's a perfect example of what my suggestion or my advice for people out there, right? I always say I'm a huge advocate, and you know what? I don't know if anyone else has ever said this or if I'm the one that came up with this, right? But I always say, and you can quote me, Mendoza said, if you as an individual, either a man or a woman, if you cannot deal with the worst of them, you don't deserve the best of them,
That's exactly right.
right? And for a couple to be able to show their full worst to one another, their full worst, bro. Like, god damn, who is this person? Is
Mm-hmm.
this the person I married? I don't even recognize you. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? If you can get to that point with each other, but be able to squash that shit, love each other, right? Like, say, you know what? This is a part of you. And if I love the best of you, I need to also love the worst of you, because all of it is you. I
Right.
can't separate the worst of you from the best of you. It's all you,
Right.
right? And if I can't handle the worst of you, what makes me think I deserve the best of you?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I always want to tell people out there, anyone who's ever asked me, you know, people like, damn, bro, how do you do it? How do you do it? I was the bro, Gatorade and Nikes, homie. Is it in you? Just do it.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
the slogans, bro. And I honestly feel that, you know, you're right when you said the debate each other, the argue with each other, bro. Like my wife and I will sit here and like we'll watch political shit, we'll watch controversial shit, and many times we end up on the opposite ends. Like, bro, how could you think that?
Right.
Look what's happening,
Right.
and we're fucking arguing, right? And like, and when you actually listen, yes, you can believe where you are, and you can see what you see, but when you stop and listen to your spouse, you know, many times my wife has said, you know, certain things or been on a certain type of point, and you know, it's gotten me to be like, you know what, babe, I didn't even fucking see it that way. I was looking at it at this angle from the shit that I've been through. My experiences and what I've been through has led me to be in the position that I'm at, but I never saw it the way you see it. But you know what? Your point has more grounds for reason, right? More rational, because where I'm coming from is out of emotion based off the shit that I went through is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm standing where I stand. But
Yeah, but how do you do it? How do you do it with 9 kids? Me and my wife only have 3. You know what I'm saying? And we went through shit because we always argued about how to
sleepless
raise the
nights,
children.
homie. Sleepless nights, bro.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights. The times when my wife and I really spend time with each other is after the kids have gone to bed.
Yeah.
At like when the kids are awake, like you know, yeah, sure, bro. She's cooking. I'll sneak up. You know, I'll grab some of my cookies. You know, I'll be touching on her. I'll be loving on her. You know, like I'll be letting her know always throughout the day that I'm thinking of her, that I love her, that she's loved, she's desired. You know, because I fucking do, bro.
Mhm.
Like you know, the only woman I think about, bro, and I think about her all the time, dog.
Right.
Like so much so that you can see how many kids I got.
Right.
But like when it comes to that quality time, that you know, the pillow talk, like we watch podcasts on YouTube at nighttime, you know, to kind of like get us tired and shit. We watch cooking shows, we watch shit that we both like, and we watch shit that triggers us both, and see and we talk about it, we debate, we forcefully put ourselves in a position where we might be at odds with each other. So when you say that you got to argue with your wife, you got to debate with her,
You
you know,
got
you got
to.
to learn to be on the opposite ends of each other
You
and
got to.
find and work your ways back to common grounds, right? That's how you know that you can be with that woman. That woman and you are compatible. Because if you cannot be on the opposite ends of a specific subject and work your ways back to the middle, because that subject is whatever, that subject is bullshit. That subject sure is important to you guys, but it's not more important than both of you. It's not more important than the relationship. It's not more important than the marriage. If anything that you live, anything that you do becomes more important than the marriage, you've already failed. If
Right.
it's a subject that on a podcast, if it's a subject that we're talking about right now, like hitting your kids, not hitting your kids, how you discipline your kids, like what you want them to learn, vaccine, no vaccine, right? Like there's a bunch of fucking, you know, there's a plethora of examples that can be thrown out between couples that they might disagree on. But that's good. Disagree on them, but talk about it, right? Find your way back to common ground so that you know that no matter what life throws at you, that you guys will always be able to be one, not two, one over here and one over there. No, you guys are one.
Right.
Sure, You might have difference of opinions, but your opinions are not more important than your relationship. You can agree to disagree, or you can find a way to be like, you know what? I never see it that way. I never thought about it like that. Babe, you're not being reasonable. You're being emotional, right? Like, this is reason. Or sometimes I'm being the emotional one and my wife brings the reason. But we as people need to be able to learn to listen. If you can't listen and you're always listening, or you're always hearing what the person is saying and just to respond, you're not really listening, right? You're always just coming up with the comeback, or thinking about what you're already going to reply before they even finish their point. You know, all of these things are important. Communication, which is goes back to being able to argue, being able to debate, you know, being able to talk in a way where it's going to cause a little bit of conflict, just to be able to find your way back to love, back to who you are as a couple, be it one. You know, I love you, Hempy. Yo, what's up, Crystal? So that's where I'm at, everybody. You know, I believe that
Do
this
you
is
know
a
what
successful
the
podcast.
number one cause of divorce is though?
I feel that a lot of the times it's money. Yeah, money. Yep. Yep. My wife
That's
and I are poor as fuck, and we fucking rich with love. You know,
that's
when
the
I was,
number one cause, bro. That's the number
yep.
one cause. Me and my wife lived so long. It took me and my wife 20 years to be able to get where we're at now. And I've went from job to job to job, to having no money, to having money, to being dumber, dumber than hell, spending all the money we got. You know what I'm saying? We have went through poor, and we've went through not rich, but went to poor, went to moderate, went straight back down, like straight up fucking, I'm getting ready to eat out of a trash can poor, you know what I mean?
Holy fuck.
We've went through, I mean,
Woo.
everything, bro, and we're still here because my
Yeah.
wife told me when I decided to quit the coal mines, and I wasn't going to quit at first because it was good money. My wife looked at me and said, "I don't care what you do. I support you in your decision."
Factuals.
You know what I'm saying? Just like this situation right here, where I'm sitting here playing on this computer and everything else. I told you the other day, if my wife sits there and sees me on this fucking computer the next 3 days, get kick my ass. I've been on the computer every day.
Yeah.
My wife don't say a word to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, should I be on here all the time? No, I should not. I know when it's wifey time. I know when I need to spend time with my wife. You know what I'm saying? And she sucks it up and she deals with it and everything else. And I'm constantly trying to apologize to her about stuff, and she's always telling me, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm not mad." Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Women would never tell you when you're mad, just like we will never sit there and tell somebody what's wrong with us, because our famous saying, when somebody says, "Is something wrong?" you sit there and say, "I'm
I'm
fine."
fine.
You know what I'm saying? I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
we hide everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And we have to hide everything because we got to be the ones that's strong enough for our family. We can't show those kind of emotions. And it's the same thing in a relationship. You can't show those kind of emotions. If you're unhappy with her at the time, fine. Be unhappy with her. Keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? When it comes time to talk about
Can
it,
I
it comes
disagree
time
with
to
you on that though?
you can go. You can try.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because I used to be like that, and so does my wife. And you know, when you talk about the, you know, being able to argue with each other,
Yeah.
I find that being upset with my spouse is a good opportunity to practice that argument, that communication. And I think, you know, yeah, sure, it might be good for a start, because you don't want to bring up conflict, especially when the time isn't right. Yes, there's a time for an argument and there's a time not to argue. When your in-laws are at the house, that is not the fucking time to
Right.
argue. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? When
Right.
your kids are awake, that is not the fucking time to argue. You know what I'm saying? So yes, when you're upset, when you're things like that, yes, you keep it in, but only until you know the time is right to have that
But
conversation
see,
where you can express yourself.
and that's the thing though, because in my mindset and in her mindset, the way me and her have always been is, we made the mistake of arguing in front of the kids, and we learned from that mistake. We learned the hard way, and we stopped doing it. By that time it was too late. We've already had done the damage, but we stopped doing it after a while, and we will never do it again. You know what I'm saying? We don't argue in front of grandkids. We don't argue in front of our adult children anymore. We don't even argue in front of nobody.
Right.
But when she's unhappy with me or I'm unhappy with her, we hold that in until it's time to talk about it. The thing about that is, though, is by the time it's time to talk about it, we done forgot about it.
Got it.
We're not angry no more. We're not disappointed anymore.
And that's how you know, when it's like that, that just means that the thing you were upset about had really like it had no
Nothing.
merit. You're like,
Nothing.
whatever's, I shouldn't have been mad about that to begin with.
Right.
Right.
Nothing.
But what I'm talking about, like the things that like need to be talked about.
Right.
Right. Things that you talked about in the past, and maybe like, my wife says, "Oh, babe, I need you to do this, this, and that for me." And then, I say, "Yeah, babe, I'll do better about remembering this." And then time goes by, and then all of a sudden I start forgetting, and she brings it up,
That's
and I
being a
say,
man.
"Oh, okay."
That's a man.
For real, for sure, for sure. But you know what? Regardless of that's just being a man or not, I want to be a better than a man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my mindset. My wife doesn't deserve to just have a man. She could have any fucking man. I need to be better. That's my mindset. If my wife said, like, that's one of the reasons why I haven't been on Twitch as much as well, right? Sitting in front of this fucking computer, just like you said, right? My wife's in there fucking busting her ass with 9 fucking kids in the house, cooking, cleaning, dishes, fucking wiping asses constantly, right? We homeschool, so we never get a break. We can't just send our kids to school and have like 8 hours to ourselves or whatever.
Right.
Like the house is always in shambles, so like you got to know your home's life. You got to know your life, right? In my case, right, I need to be better because my wife deserves better, right? She's not my fucking housemaid. She's not my this, she's not my that. She deserves more from me. So I do my best to give more to her, right? But when I forget, like my word, right? Like if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, right? That's not being a man. What is a man if he doesn't have his word? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel that if I committed to something and I said I'm gonna do it and I don't do it, right? And then she holds it in and she's upset and doesn't say anything. I was like, babe, why you mad? She's like, what do you mean why the fuck I'm mad? I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I asked you to do this one thing and I can't get you to do it. You're in there playing your games, you're in there on the computer, you're in there talking to your friends, you're doing this and that, right? Like my wife has every reason to feel that way. Right? She has every reason to feel that way. And it was my fault because I said I would do it and I did it. That's just a example.
I don't know what that's like.
And you see, we're different. You see, and
I don't know
where I'm trying to be
what
better
that's like
man.
because even when my wife asks me to do something and I don't do it, she never pushes the issue on me. Okay. Let me clarify this for a second. Let me rephrase this. She doesn't push the issue on me anymore.
She's listening, bro. She's listening.
She doesn't push the issue on me anymore. Okay, back in the day when we were younger, she would push the issue on me. Now, like she said, we're too old for this shit. We're too old to argue. We're too old to hold in the petty shit. If she sits there and asks me to do something and I say, okay, I'll get it done, she knows I'll get it done. I might not get it done today. I might not get it done tomorrow. I might get it done a week from now, but I'll get it done. You know what I'm saying?
It'd be like that for me too.
The thing with my wife is I work 4 days a week. I'm off 3 days a week. And my wife is, she, every single time I say I'm going to do this on Monday.
See, she's facts in the chat. If we didn't have it, like I say, you got to know your home. You got to know your life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
That's why.
And that's what I'm saying. When we were younger, yes, I didn't even think about that because when we were younger, obviously we had little kids. We have adult children now. It's just me and mama now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's get it done whenever. You know what I'm saying? But like I work 4 days a week. I work 4 days a week. I got 3 days off. My wife will not let me do anything on Monday. She will not let me do a fucking thing on Monday because she knows it's my day off. It's my first day off. You know what I'm saying? She said, no, you're going to rest. And no matter how much I want to do. But the thing is, I also look at her when she gets her ass up to go do the dishes. I said, sit your ass down. You ain't doing shit either. If I ain't doing shit, you ain't doing shit. We ain't doing this. No.
That's our Saturday.
Yeah, we ain't doing this shit. We're not going to sit there and tell me to sit there and sit down and do nothing. You're not going to do nothing.
You come and do nothing with me. Let's go.
It's everybody has their definitions of a good relationship. Everybody has a definition of what to how to keep their relationship. And if it's working for you, if you guys have been together as long as you have, and you guys still love each other, and you guys are still, in love with each other, if you guys still show that
Hell
you're in
yeah.
love with each other, if you still walk up to your woman every single day and smack her on that beautiful fucking ass, you know what I'm
Hell
saying?
yeah.
Then you still love that woman. Because
I love you,
what
babe.
what the women don't realize is it might annoy the piss out of them if you walk up to them and smack them on the ass. But imagine what it'd be like if you never did.
Right?
What would they think if we never
Or if you
did?
did and then stop. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Like to have something and then you take it away. You know, you used to come up to me and give me kisses in the morning, or you used to come behind me and hold me while I'm cutting some shit up or cooking or doing dishes, and now you don't.
Right.
Like, what's going on in your head? Did
Right.
you lose love for me? And I don't want ever want my wife to feel that.
Right.
So I never
Right.
stop. And that's why we have so many kids.
And see, and that's why I rephrased what I said, Hempy. And I apologize for that. Yeah, we had little kids and all, and my wife needed, a lot of things from me. There you go, smack it, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's just like I said. Everybody has their own ways of being able to keep their relationship. My way of keeping my relationship is not talking about the past. My way of keeping a relationship is not worrying about the little bullshit. You know, if we sit there and we argue, then we argue. It's over with. You know what I'm saying? It's over and done with. We go to bed. Whatever. We don't go to bed mad. Put it that way. I refuse to go to bed mad. There's a lady right now on Facebook who has had a relationship with her husband since they were teenagers. She showed pictures and all, but they were 13, 14 years old. They've been together. And now they're 30, they have 3 kids. And she said that if you argue with your spouse, make sure that you go to bed angry. If you're arguing with your spouse before bed, go to bed angry. I disagree with that
I can't
100%.
do that.
I
I
disagree with
100% I can't
100%.
do
I
that.
disagree with that.
That's
Nope,
why I
can't do it.
told you long nights. I literally said it, long nights, and that's because
Yeah.
when we argue, when we fight, bro, 5 in the fucking morning, and I gotta
No.
get up at 6 to go to work,
Nope.
bro. You best believe I ain't getting no fucking sleep.
No.
If
Nope.
I did something wrong, nah.
Nope.
And you know what? And if I'm the type of person as well that if it's something petty, I will be the one to say, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Right? Like, I don't want to argue about this no more. And I will fucking take the blame. I will fucking take the blame to the grave. Let's just stop fighting. You know, like, I don't want this.
Whoa.
I don't want this.
What's this
I don't
shit?
want the smoke.
Yo, what's this shit about taking the blame, bro? I ain't taking the blame for no, hell no. She comes walking up to me and everything else. She says
And you
your
know what?
beard's too
That only
fucking long. I
applies when
ain't
she's
taking the
been
blame for
drunk.
that.
That only applies when she's been drinking. That only applies when she's been drinking. There's no fucking reasoning with a woman that's been drinking and drunk. I cannot get her to listen to my side.
Let me ask
I
you
will
this.
wait till the morning time.
Let me
And I
ask
will
you this.
apologize at night so we can go to
Let
bed.
me ask you this, and this is for some of the young cats and everything else. For whoever sees this, I don't know, even if one person sees it, I don't give a shit. Does your woman, does she dictate how to wear your hair, how to wear your facial hair, what clothes you wear, your overall look? Does she dictate that?
No. Not for me. Let's hear it in chat. Let's hear it in chat. You know what? Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Just be you. You know, but in this case, the answer is no.
These younger kids dictate how each other look. But sometimes it only goes one way. Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell you 2 females right now that are in their late 20s that tell their man what they can and cannot have on their face, how they can and cannot have their hair, what they can and cannot wear. I love my wife to death. I would die for my wife. I'd take a fucking bullet for her. But she's not going to tell me what I can and cannot wear. She's not going to sit there and tell me how I can have my facial hair and my hair. I don't agree with that. I have never agreed with it because that is a form of control.
Hey, look.
You know what I mean? That is a form of
Yeah.
control, and you should never, ever, ever have any kind of form of control in a relationship, whether it's male or female.
Right.
Does not
You know
matter.
what? Something that comes to mind when you say that is that first and foremost, they're not your fucking Barbie and Ken doll. Let's just keep it real. Right? They're a human being that's an individual.
Right?
And if you love that individual, you gotta love them for how they are.
Right?
And if you can't love them for how they are, you don't deserve them. And I just literally just said, if you can't handle their worst, if their facial hair to you is the worst thing ever, guess what? You don't deserve it because he's a fucking man. He's gonna
Yep.
grow facial hair.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like for me, if my wife didn't shave her legs, am I gonna be like, babe, what the fuck's wrong with you? Go shave your legs. It's like, bro, I'll fucking take a hairy, I'll take it clean, I'll take a Sasquatch. I don't give a fuck. That's mine.
I will
Hair and
pick
all.
that fucking hair out of my teeth all fucking day long. I don't give a shit. I ain't telling her how she can have it. You know what I mean? Don't care. I mean, all right, I'm back at it. You know what I mean? Another one? Shit. Hold up, honey. All right, let's go.
Swallow, motherfucker.
I ain't scared. You know what I mean? Am I gonna like it? Fuck no, I ain't gonna like it. But am I gonna tell her she needs to do it? Nope. Nope. It is what it is. I mean, she hates this, but she's grown on it. You know what I mean? I've had it for so long now. It's grown. She braids it, bro. Let me tell you something about my wife. I don't know what clothes I'm gonna wear tomorrow. My wife lays out my fucking clothes on my dresser every single day. My shirts, my pants, my socks, my drawers. Okay? I don't know what kind of drawers I'm going to wear. I might wear a pair of drawers that has a big old hole right up underneath by my gooch. All right? I don't fucking know. Right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to eat at work. She constantly sits there and says, "Hey, what do you want in your lunch? What do you want in your lunch?" I don't care, honey. Food. What do you want for dinner? I don't care, honey. Food. You know what I mean?
Put something in there.
Yeah. I don't know. I literally, I am, the only thing that I control in my life is what I do here. Everything else, my wife, basically sits there and puts out for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the woman takes care of me like I'm like a wife does to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Not all women do that. You know what I'm saying? But one day my wife just decided she's gonna sit there and put out my clothes, and I've been stuck ever since. You know what I mean?
You just accepted that.
I just accepted it. And now it's like, what am I gonna wear? Where's my clothes at? I don't know where the fuck my clothes are at. If I wake up and there's no clothes on the dress, I'm like, well, I guess I'm walking around in my fucking drawers all day. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna wear. I don't know what's in my.
Did your wife stop doing? Your wife stopped doing it?
No. That's what I'm saying. If she ever stops doing it, I'm fucked.
If she ever stopped, got you.
If I ever stop, I am fucked.
You know what? You know what I call that? I call that being taken care of, bro. When a woman when a woman cares that much to where she does stuff like that for you, like, bro, to me, those are goals, bro. Not that I expect my wife to do that, but if she ever did, I would understand the reasoning behind it. It's like to me, there's no better woman than a woman that thinks that way.
I think it has a lot to do with the kids being grown and gone. Because this didn't happen when
Did she do that for her kids too?
She did it for her kids.
Got it.
She did it for the kids and everything else. I think that's what happened. Was it's almost like she's so used to doing it that the only person she can do it for now is me. And if that's what she wants,
really cute.
If that's what she wants to do, really I'm going to accept it and I'm going to let her do it. You know what I'm saying? I say I'm going to be fucked, which I mean, if I end up going to work and nothing but draws, then so be it. It's like, hey, my wife didn't put up my clothes. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's like, I think that's why. I think because she's got so used to doing it and for so many years that she feels like she needs to do it. And even if I tell her don't, she's like, I want to. She cried one day because she went to, where'd she go? She went to a church event and she cried because she said, what are you going to eat for lunch? What are you going to wear? I'm like, honey, I'm 40. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. You know, I've been putting down my own clothes since I was 2 years old. You know, I said, I'm pretty sure I could figure. Yeah, but I like doing that kind of stuff for you. And I was like, well,
That's so sweet, man.
all right, then
So sweet.
there you go. You
So
know,
you let her. So you just let her
I
because
just
it makes
I
her
let
happy.
her. Exactly. Happy
Fucking love it,
wife,
bro.
happy life.
Happy spouse, happy house.
There you go. See, there you go.
Because it's a two-way street, brother. It's
Hmm.
a two-way street. You know, like sure, I mean, it's obvious that if you make your wife happy, she will in turn make you happy, right? But there are examples where, you know, the man is trying to make the wife happy, but the wife won't reciprocate, you
Oh,
know?
there's a
So
lot
that's
of
why I
situations
came
like that.
that's why I came up with, I mean, I wouldn't say I came up with it, right? But I mean, that's why I agreed with the term happy spouse, happy house.
Right,
Because whether you're the man or the woman, you have to make sure that you're making each other happy in order for the house to thrive.
right.
Because the man shouldn't feel neglected. You know, the man's giving and giving and giving, but he's waiting and waiting and waiting to receive, or the wife is giving and giving and giving and then waiting to receive. That should never be the case. The good old book, the Bible says that you should not deny one another to each other, right? If a man wants some good, then the man should get that good. If the woman wants that good, then the woman should get that good. You shouldn't deny yourselves to one another, right? Is it a long day? Yes, fuck it. Is she horny? Give it. Is he horny? Give it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do that? Who else is going to do any little thing, whether it's sexual, whether it's the basic needs like making lunch, you know, if it's like we were talking about earlier how you go and just smack that ass, right? It's like no one else is going to give that kind of affection. No one else is going to give these simple things that one party has gotten used to and all of a sudden not receiving it anymore. If your wife is packing your lunch and doing your thing and then all of a sudden she stops, that to you is gonna be a psychological fucking warfare, bro. She like ninja psychological attacked you. Like, is she mad? What did I do?
We
You
will we will literally never leave the house. Like, okay, if we're just going to the gas station, it's one thing. If we're just going to the gas station, you know, whatever. But if we're going to be gone for a while, whether it's half an hour, 10 hours, whatever, we literally never leave the house without giving each other a kiss and saying, I love you. That is the most important thing right there is you never, ever, ever give them one doubt that you're not in love with them. You know what I'm saying? You never give them that doubt. You know
right,
what I'm saying? You always want to sit there and assure them that you are truly, truly, truly still in love with them, that you truly, truly do love them. And it comes more than just smacking that ass. You know what I'm saying? It's even just going up there and just giving them a hug or
for sure.
rubbing their back, you know, or
Right.
like me and my wife would be
I
sitting.
love rubbing her feet, yo.
Me and my wife
Love
have
rubbing my
this
wife's feet.
sectional couch that sits like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she'll sit on one side and I'll sit on the other side, but our feet are clamped together like this.
To you. It's adorable.
You know, hey, you know what? Hey, delete that part of the podcast. Please delete that part of.
Uh-uh. It ain't happening, dog.
You know what I'm saying? But that's just the way it is, you know. And granted, I get it. You know, we're watching. You know, she's watching a show, or I'm watching a show, or we're looking at our phones, or whatever the case may be, because that's just the way it is nowadays. That's just how everything rolls nowadays. Yeah, but we're together. You know what I'm saying? We're still
Right.
associated. We're not like it's not like, you know, we're a couple teenagers that's sitting right next to each other, Facebooking each other or you know, or Snapchatting each other, you know what I'm saying? We're actually sitting there
Right.
still having a conversation. You know, we cook together, you know,
Or be like, hey babe, look at this, look at this, look at this video, or look at this post.
yeah, yeah, all
Isn't
the
this
time.
shit funny? Showing each other the memes, right?
I send her shit all the time, whether I'm at work or I'm sitting right next to her. I will send her a video to watch because I know what she loves, you know, especially when it comes to like cat videos. If I see a cute cat video, oh, I gotta go send it to her. You know, that's hers. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving that shit to her. And like I was like, what can I told my wife, I said, what can I do here? Because we've been living in this house for 5 years and I'm like, it doesn't really look like a house. And I knew that she really wanted some stuff around the house, and I'm like, you know, I haven't really done much to this place at all since we lived here. I need to do something. So I went out and I built my wife a pan holder, like on a wall kind of thing with a bunch of, you know, pipes.
Like the hooks to
Yeah,
yeah.
like pipes and everything else, like them black lead pipes and all that kind of shit. You know, I built her a pan holder right there with a couple shelves. I built her own little coffee station, you know, so she can literally go over there and just, she's got a shelf right there. She can make her own coffee. I mean, it's like, I'm trying everything I can to do the things that I wasn't able to do when I was younger, you know, or I was too stupid, or I was, you know, I didn't give a shit enough, you know, because when I was younger, I was always out getting stoned or getting drunk, or, you know, didn't give a shit. I just knew that I had to go home, you know, and it was one of those, like, when you're a kid and everything else, you're just like, oh man, yeah, I really want to stick around, but I know I have to go home, you know, and that's the way I was. And I think the reason I was like that was because I got married at such a young age. You know what I'm saying? And my wife feels like that she took my life away. She feels like she took my wife away because I got married when I was 19 years old. She feels like I didn't get to live my 20s, and I'm like, it didn't bother me none. What was I gonna do?
Right?
You
I
know,
feel the same way.
go out and get stupid drunk. Hey, I'm 21 years old. I can drink now. Woo! I've been drinking since I was 16 years old. I don't give a fuck about 21.
Back real quick, bro. My wife was when we met each other, I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. I
Right,
was 20 fucking years old
right.
and my wife was 24, bro. 24. And the first time we met, or the first time we dated, the first time that we was gonna go out and be with each other intimately, she had a party to go to, and that was at a bar, and I couldn't get in. So I waited in the car for her. I waited hours in the car for her and watched movies on my phone, right? And I didn't have a problem doing that because I wanted to spend time with her. It didn't matter how long I had to wait. We was gonna get together that night, you know. But I told her, hey, you know what? Don't feel rushed. Go in there, enjoy yourself. When you feel like you've had your fill with your friends and you're ready to come out and hang out with me, that's fine. It could be 3 hours, it could be 4 hours, it could be 5 fucking hours. I don't care, right? And I literally sat there in the car and watched anime and waited for her, right? She she literally, like, before that even happened, she literally had to check my ID because she didn't believe that I was 20 years old. She thought I was 30 when we first met, you know. So, you have to be able to you have to be able to put yourself in a position to where she's happy. Even if you may not be having fun, even if you may not be happy, right? It should bring you happiness to see your wife happy. If you feel that way when you first got together, why would you not still portray that many years later down your relationship? You should always do that. So I think that is awesome, bro. I'm gonna take some pages out of your book there that you got, and I'm
Uh,
gonna apply them, bro.
bro,
I'm
you
gonna apply
got,
them. But you know
bro,
what? I'm gonna
bro. As
I'm gonna
as
be able to
as
apply them when we're empty nesters. Because right now there's no fucking way we could apply some of that shit.
it's it's been a road, but it's been a very, very, very hard, rough road. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to compare it to the road that my dad grew up on, where I told you that they don't have pavements for, you know, roads. They have big boulders in the road. So if you go through a car like that, you're gonna be jumping up and down like this. This is the way I look at it, you know, in our relationship, because we were going like this, you know what I'm saying, and then now we're sailing.
Yeah,
Hey,
because you had to pave that road,
right.
right? You had to pave it
And
yourself in order to have it be smooth
and the
sailing.
thing is that what brought us even closer to what we are now, or what brought us as close as we are now, is back in 13 when we got into a really bad car wreck. We almost lost our lives.
Wow.
That right there, that was the end of everything. You know, and there was some situations going on that I will not talk with anybody about. You know what I'm saying? But I promised her, with the day I got out of the hospital, I promised her I would never lie to her again. I would never do any of the situations that I was doing at the time again. I would never mistreat her again, you know, and I've kept my promise. I would never do it again. Yes, we argue. Yes, we fight. Yeah, we fight like cats and dogs, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, you know, Never lied to her since. I will not. I haven't done the shit that I was doing before. I will not. You know what I'm saying? It's all about. I say arguments, but I mean arguments kind of falls into the word of communication. If you don't have that communication, you're fucked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
But
you two,
it's a type of communication. It can't
Yes.
always just be rainbows and sunshine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like promises matter at 100%. If you sit there and you can break a promise to your spouse, then you can break a promise to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And one person you should never break a promise to is your spouse.
I agree with that.
And the thing is it doesn't matter what kind of communication you have. That's where the argument comes into play. It doesn't matter what kind of communication you have. Communication is communication. Arguments are communication. Talking is communication. Debating is communication. Yelling is communication. You know, just the way she's doing it right now, where she's inside chatting and she's talking, that's communication. You know, you pulling your headphone off like that to talk to her, that's communication. You know, saying everything matters when it comes to communication, because communication is the key to having the best relationship in the world. Communication. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
Because it also falls into respect, because respect is part of communication. You know
right.
what I mean?
If you don't communicate, you're showing disrespect.
Right. Right. If I'm talking to you and you can't look at me while I'm talking to you, you're disrespecting me. I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you. Look at me. Give me that respect. You know what I'm saying? I will literally sit there and ask a question and wait to know that she's paying attention to me before I actually finish the question. You know what I mean? You know, because if she's focused on her phone or she's focused on the TV and I'm trying to ask her a question, how can she be focused on what I'm trying to say?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have that. You gotta have that communication. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, I mean,
for real.
It's, bro. We got the best two women in the world, my friend.
Man, that's without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I want to be able to do a little bit of a hot seat, bro. A hot seat is when I just fire off questions real fast and you answer them like within a second.
Do you think?
All right, like at the end of every podcast. You ready for this shit?
Oh, if it's what you just sent me, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be fast. It'll be fast. Ready?
Do you think?
Tacos or tostadas?
Tostadas.
Tortas or sopes?
Tortas.
Horchata or Jamaica?
I don't know what those are.
Horchata is agua fresca, bro. Agua de horchata, like fresh water.
Okay.
Like flavored water. Yeah, you've never tried those before?
I hate flavored water.
Fuck, bro.
All right, fair enough.
Tecate or Modelo?
Modelo.
All right. Tequila or cerveza?
Tequila.
That's right, my boy. I fucking appreciate you, bro. I need to start wrapping it up right here, man, so I can get back to doing the things over here, man. But hey, what you think about every Wednesday or every other Wednesday? What you thinking? You good with it? Fuck it.
I'm good with doing every Wednesday, man. Every Wednesday's the only way to do it. I mean, we can do. We'll talk about that after stream. Yeah,
all right.
I'm good with every Wednesday and everything else. Y'all, hope everybody had a good time. Hope everybody listened to what we say. I'm sorry that we couldn't sit there and be a little bit more elaborate, but we're doing what we can do. It's only our first podcast. We're gonna get up there and everything. Anybody ever has any questions for us, sit there and go ahead and put it down in the comments. Hope you guys have a great day. Mendoza.
Join the Discord.
Love you, brother.
Join the Discord, fam. Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys, before we go, join the Discord. You guys can put down some of the topics you want us to talk about. If there's anything that you feel like, if you want to, ask us any questions that you wish we could have answered on the podcast, by all means, we'll make yourself as available during live times when we can on the Discord. We can sit down off stream and have these conversations. We can bring them up on the following podcast. We want you to be part of this community and be able to dictate and give your points of views as well, right? As to like where we go with this, because right now we are just two Vatos Chicanos, man, that we're just trying to be able to bring back our roots. We're trying to share what we've been through and be able to inspire others, man. And if you guys aren't inspired by the end of these podcasts, then y'all weren't listening.
Nobody who's listening, man, if you ain't inspired by these podcasts, because all you try to do is speak facts, you know what I mean? All it comes down to. Listen to the facts. And I will get into more topics. It ain't always going to just be about, guess it will be about Chicanos. It'll be about a little bit more things and everything else, man. I hope everybody had a good time. Much love, much appreciated. Love everybody. Catch you on the next one. Peace.